It's the deadliest terrorist attack on American soil in U.S. history, September 11th, 2001. Now, almost 2 decades later, one local survivor is sharing his story and his struggle with the guilt he carries from that day in hopes of helping others battling anxiety and trauma. Anthony Morrow now calls downtown St. Petersburg home. As a backdrop day to day, how's this compare to New York?
I like it better.
But he never thought he'd leave his real hometown of New York City. Until September 11th, 2001.
I'll always see the explosion, the mess, the panic, people running, people falling in the streets.
Anthony worked construction for 36 years and was on a job inside the World Trade Center.
I never came so close to death in my life. 3 minutes.
It was a clear day. Anthony arrived at 6 a.m., scanned his badge, and headed to work in the South Tower. On the observation deck, the 107th floor, just one level below the roof. But just a couple hours in, they began to smell smoke.
We were looking out the window, and it was like it was black smoke, like worse than a thunderstorm.
Then a Port Authority engineer ran up the stairs.
He says, "Look, man, stop, just get off the ladder and let's get out of the building as fast as we can. There's a plane hit the North Tower."
Anthony started running, but saw the wreckage through a window.
The whole side of the building was ripped out. The whole top of the building was ripped out with flames pouring out, and it was actually bent.
They watched in disbelief.
Finally, he said, "Let's go. Let's not waste another minute. We got to get out of here." We got into the stairwell, and we started running. His key wouldn't work in the passenger elevator lobbies. We couldn't get in, so we kept running, and we're running, and we're running.
They ran down 5 flights until the engineer's key finally worked on the 102nd floor. There, they took an elevator to the 78th floor to switch to an express elevator.
So when we got to 78, it was all wall-to-wall people, just hanging out, nonchalant, and I'm yelling across the whole floor. I said, "No, go down and get out." And they didn't listen. A lot of people didn't listen.
When they finally made it down to the street, Anthony looked up.
You couldn't help but looking up at it, and as I'm looking up, here come the second one. So it hit just about over our heads.
That's when Anthony and everyone around him began running for their lives.
We were so scared, we just got into the subway.
Anthony says he took the train home to Brooklyn, but couldn't sleep for days.
We were like in disbelief. We were just working up there. This is where we just came from.
After a week of no cell phone service, Anthony's home phone rang. It was his boss.
Finally, he got in touch with me, and he says, "I thought you were gone."
He didn't know you'd made it out. How many friends did you lose that day?
Oh, a lot, dozens of people I knew that I worked for years. I went to memorial after memorial after memorial. Very sad. Very, very sad.
Eventually, Anthony had to go back to work, taking another construction job at the Millennium Hotel, right across the street from the World Trade Center.
And we were looking right down into Ground Zero, and we were watching the fire department pull out body parts on stretchers. I was crying. I felt so bad for the families. Look how many families lost their people that went to work that day.
But 9/11 wasn't the only day Anthony escaped death. February 26, 1993, a truck bomb detonated inside the World Trade Center garage, near where Anthony normally worked.
When it blew up, our paint shop was on the other side of the wall. And it blew out the whole side of the wall, and it killed two painters working in the parking lot there.
But as luck would have it, Anthony never went to work that day.
Yeah, I was sick with bronchitis.
After surviving 2 terrorist attacks,
I just can't believe that I'm here talking to you.
Anthony still struggles with survivor's guilt, but refuses to live in fear.
Terrorists want you to be fearful. I won't be fearful. And nobody else should be either.
And if you're dealing with trauma or stress from the September 11th attack or from the many mass shootings we've seen in recent years, experts say you are not alone.
Just exposure to these traumatic events can have an effect on people.
Dr. Kathleen Heidi, a licensed psychotherapist, says anxiety is now on the rise. She says the best way to combat that anxiety is by living not in fear of the past, but in the present.
The reality is that you do what you can, but the important thing is one has to live their life.
And we have more expert tips on how to cope. Just head to our website at abcactionnews.com.